I've got something in my throat. It's tickling.
These are the jokes.
Can you take those, Brandon? Thank you. And now we're going to start today's video. So today's topic is going to be about teaching a struggling reader to read. Can you relate to this? Your student loves to read things that interest them, but then when you encourage them to read something that may be slightly out of their scope or their interest, they fight you on it. You spent good money for a language arts curriculum, and it includes everything that you need, except how to motivate your struggling reader to get the work done or to be interested. And again, this is what we've talked about in our last video, where you as a teacher, it is your responsibility to get your student interested, passionate, and motivated to learn. And this is really exciting because it gives you a good opportunity to use tools at your disposal that every good educator can use. It can be really hard to motivate a struggling reader. There's a variety of reasons for it, but in the end it really has to do with insecurities within the reader. Bad habits set in quickly. So the expectations that the students have of themselves and that they have of the teacher and vice versa, those two ideals play a critical role in all of this. It can be stressful for the learner and the teacher. Bad habits are mainly because the student isn't responding to the teacher because of their fear of being wrong. I mean, what's the point, right? I'm going to get it wrong anyways. Then the manipulation begins and school days get worse and more confusing. So let's talk a little bit about manipulation. Usually we associate that with something bad. And in this context, we're talking about the student using manipulation when he or she isn't getting what they need from the teacher, so they resort to lollygagging or not paying attention or just being totally uninterested and not trying to disguise it at all because they're not getting what they need from the teacher. So again, it's the teacher who really needs to look at their approach. So somehow, we have to take the stress off the table. Take a deep breath, clear the table, and rethink your expectations. It's a lot easier to have higher expectations and change them when you need to than to have no or low expectations and be frustrated when students don't respond the way you think they should respond. A key thing about this is expectations, they're important, but they definitely need to be defined. Sometimes it even helps to write them out on a piece of paper. And expectations should include clear, specific goals and objectives that are attainable and measurable. And they should be milestones that you can conquer. Teachers should have their own expectations in weekly and monthly and yearly lesson plans as well. These mostly reflect the certain outcomes they want their students to achieve. If you have open communication with somebody, your friends, your colleagues, and you include them on what you expect and what they might expect, that whole open communication, that transparency, will help you in your goals of teaching in the long run immensely. Because not only will everybody be on the same page, there's not going to be such a domineering power structure of the teacher and the student. It's going to be a more one-on-one, give and take, a more mentor style of teaching. Expect your struggling reader to enjoy books when the right title comes along. And find out what the student likes and try to cater to him or her, if at all possible. Again, reworking the expectations to something that's more appropriate for the situation. Always shooting high, reworking when needed. And expect your students to enjoy experiments, science centers, nature walks, observing insects, creating art or music, collecting things, exploring worlds under the sky, under the sea, under the earth, talking to you about thoughts, feelings, likes and dislikes, playing, asking, and more asking. A really key thing that I have found, never blow off your students, so to speak. Never disregard their questions, because if you don't answer their questions, one, they're going to think that you're not a very good teacher or parent. They're going to get this idea that you can't answer questions. So then when you try to teach them later on, they're not going to trust you very much. Or they're not going to have the confidence in you because you weren't answering any of their questions. And kids aren't asking questions to be annoying. They're asking questions because they want to learn. You're saving yourself a lot more work by answering their questions now instead of deferring all their questions for later. So really, and I know it's not possible to answer every single question that a child may have, but really do your best to answer most of their questions because it really will help you as a teacher and it will help the student learn and grow their curiosity about the world around them. With all of this in mind, expect your students to start enjoying the learning process more and read something to your students above their grade level. You'll be really surprised actually at how excited they can get for a story that is picturesque and moving, or set in another time. And you'll actually really marvel at just how much they understand. Ask occasional questions. Check in with them. Or maybe ask them to retell a paragraph, a page, or a chapter. See if they're tuned in. And use the activities from study guides prepared for many classical or popular book titles. Encourage them to draw a scene from the book as well. It's not easy at first, and you may resist, and it's not an inherent ability as well, but it really must be learned. If a child has difficulties with this, allow doodling or even resting. And if the acts of reading and writing are true problems for your student, rather than being defeated, read and write for him or her. Show them that learning, it doesn't have to stop. Plus, it adds a lot of fresh spontaneity and differentiation in the teaching. Kids love that. Kids love having things switched up, playing a game here or there. It really adds to the total learning process. So look for the ways to make your teaching better. Consider what motivates you, what motivates your student, and above all else, manage your expectations. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you feel like I missed something, as usual, type it out in the comments section below. Love to get a dialogue going with you guys. And until next time, be well, my fellow educators, and stay classy.